Bread is more than food. In many parts of the world, it is a symbol of life, community, and tradition. Among the many varieties of bread, one stands out not just for its taste, but also for its cultural weight. Lavash, known as the thin, soft, and versatile flatbread of Armenia and neighboring regions, Lavash has been recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. It represents centuries of culinary wisdom, community rituals, and the artistry of simple ingredients transformed by fire, while modern ovens and bakeries now produce lavash in large quantities. There is something deeply captivating about traditional methods of baking. One such method, baking lavash bread on a barrel over a wood fire, brings us closer to the roots of this ancient food. It is not only about preparing bread, but about preserving memory, storytelling, and connection to nature. The origins of lavash is one of the oldest known breads in the world, believed to date back thousands of years. Archaeological evidence and ancient texts suggest that flatbreads similar to lavash were consumed in the Poi, Armenian highlands, and across parts of the Middle East and Central Asia, because it could be made with minimal ingredients, flour, water, and salt. It was accessible to nomadic communities and farmers alike. The bread became a staple not just because it was filling, but because it was practical. Thin lavash could be dried and stored for long periods, making it a reliable food supply for journeys and harsh winters. When softened with water or wrapped around vegetables, cheese, or meat, it provided both sustenance and satisfaction. Over time, lavash evolved from simple survival food into a cherished cultural symbol served at weddings, feasts, and religious ceremonies. The symbolism of bread in Armenian culture, in Armenia and neighboring cultures, bread is not just a meal component, it is sacred. To break bread together is to share friendship, trust, and respect. Lavash, in particular, is often used in wedding rituals, where it is placed on the shoulders of newlyweds to symbolize prosperity and abundance. Every piece of lavash represents not only nourishment, but also tradition passed from generation to generation. When baked the traditional way, it is often prepared by groups of women who gather, chat, and laugh while working, reinforcing bonds of family and community. Thus, the bread becomes more than food, it becomes memory. The barrel and the fire, a rural method of baking. Most iconic way of baking lavash is in a tonneer, a deep clay oven built underground. But in many villages, where access to tonneers was limited or when bread had to be baked outdoors during festivals or gatherings, people turned to a creative alternative. The barrel-dotted old metal barrel, often repurposed from farm tools or storage, is cut open and transformed into a makeshift oven. Wood is stacked and burned inside, filling the barrel with heat and smoke. Once the flames die down the glowing embers, the outer surface of the barrel becomes scorching hot. This surface becomes the baking stone, where dough is placed, pressed, and cooked. The method is rustic, but it carries a raw beauty. Smoke rises into the air, carrying the scent of burning wood mixed with flour. Sparks dance as flames lick the edges of the barrel. The environment itself becomes part of the baking process, lending lavash a smoky aroma and a slightly crisp texture that modern ovens cannot replicate. Preparing the dough. Beauty of lavash lies in its simplicity. The dough requires only flour, water, salt, and sometimes a touch of yeast or sourdough starch. Traditionally, bakers mix the ingredients in large bowls or wooden troughs, kneading with firm, rhythmic movements until the dough becomes smooth and elastic. Once kneaded, the dough is left to rest, allowing gluten to develop and the mixture to become pliable. Resting is crucial. It ensures that the dough can be rolled thin without tearing. Each ball of dough is then divided into portions, which are flattened with rolling pins or stretched by hand until paper thin. The skill of rolling is passed down from elders to younger generations, and a truly skilled baker can make lavash so thin it seems almost translucent. The baking ritual when the dough is ready and the barrel is hot, the true artistry begins. A wooden or cloth cushion, known as a rabata, is sometimes used to drape the dough before quickly slapping it against a heated barrel wall or laying it flat. across the barrel's curved surface. The baker must move quickly too slow, and the dough may burn or fail to adhere properly. As soon as the dough hits the heated metal, it begins to bubble, blister, and transform. Within seconds, raw dough turns into fragrant bread. The heat chars spots on the surface, creating a mosaic of golden brown and darker patches. The smell of freshly baked lavash mixes with the smokiness of the fire, filling the air with irresistible warmth. Once baked, the lavash is removed and placed in stacks, often covered with cloth to keep it soft. Families typically bake large quantities at once, storing dry lavash for weeks or months. Dry lavash can later be rehydrated with a splash of water, bringing it back to life as pliable, soft bread. Community and celebration. What makes this process so meaningful is that it is rarely done alone. Traditional lavash baking is communal. Families, friends, and neighbors often gather to participate. Some roll the dough, others manage the fire, while experienced bakers carefully handle the placement and removal of bread. The atmosphere becomes festive, laughter fills the air, stories are shared, and children play nearby, learning through observation. In rural areas, baking lavash on a barrel often coincides with celebrations, harvest festivals, weddings, or religious holidays. In this sense, the bread is more than a meal. It is part of a living heritage, got the taste and texture of barrel-baked. Lavash baked over a wood fire on a barrel has a distinct character. The high heat gives it a crisp edge, while the interior remains tender. The smoky notes from the fire add depth of flavor, connecting the eater to the environment in which it was made. Each bite carries with it the essence of tradition, nature, and craftsmanship. Unlike packaged breads, each lavash is unique, some slightly more charred, some softer, depending on how they were placed and how the fire burned. Eating lavash straight from the barrel, still warm and steaming, is an experience that transcends mere taste. It is a return to simplicity, a reminder of the bond between people, fire, and food. Lavash in daily life. Lavash is versatile, which is one reason for its enduring popularity. It can be eaten on its own, rolled with fresh herbs, or used as a wrap for kebabs, cheese, or vegetables. Dried lavash can be crumbled into soups or stews, adding body and flavor. In Armenian households, it often replaces utensils used as a scoop for food or as a plate for serving in festivals. Lavash becomes a canvas for creativity, paired with grilled meats, seasonal produce, or dairy products. In everyday meals, it is the foundation of simplicity. Bread, cheese, and herbs wrapped in lavash is considered a complete and satisfying dish. Preserving tradition in a modern world with globalization and modernization, many traditional methods of baking are at risk of disappearing. Bakeries now produce lavash in large industrial ovens, making it accessible but stripping away some of its rustic charm. The barrel method, in particular, is rare, practiced mostly in rural areas or by families determined to preserve their heritage. Yet interest in traditional foods is growing worldwide. Culinary tourism, documentaries, and social media have introduced lavash to global audiences. People are rediscovering the beauty of baking bread outdoors, over fire, with their own hands. This revival is not only about taste, but about reconnecting with history. Living heritage lavash, baked on a barrel over wood fire, is not just bread. It is an act of storytelling. Each stage, from kneading dough to stacking warm sheets of bread, carries centuries of tradition. The fire represents the primal element that has nourished humanity since ancient times. The barrel represents ingenuity, turning ordinary objects into tools of survival. The bread itself represents continuity, connecting generations across time. When you bite into lavash made this way, you are not just eating, you are tasting the resilience, creativity, and communal spirit of the people who keep this tradition alive. Conclusion: traditional lavash bread, baked on a barrel over a wood fire, is a powerful symbol of culture, heritage, and human connection. It reminds us that food is never just about survival. It is about memory, ritual, and identity. The crackle of the fire, the laughter of family gathered around, the aroma of flour meeting flame. All these details make lavash more than bread. They make it a living expression of history, passed down not in books, but in hands, hearts, and kitchens dotting a world rushing toward convenience and industrialization. Traditions like these offer a moment of pause. They remind us of the beauty of simplicity, the strength of community, and the power of fire and flour to create something timeless. To bake lavash on a barrel over a wood fire is to touch the past, honor the present, and keep alive a heritage that still has so much to teach the future.